Hello, everyone. Welcome this evening to everyone that's listening via the phone, or whether they are listening through the website, or whether you will be listening to this replay. Thank you for all of you that have joined us this evening for our spiritual ascension with Carl Franklin. I'm assisting him this evening. I'm Ortrune Franklin. Carl's topic for this evening is the quantum field and you. And here is Carl.
Thank you, honey. Welcome, everybody. Tonight we'd like to use a little different format. Would like to start off with the meditation, because much of what we're going to experience tonight needs to be experienced to be understood. And the best way to experience it is by being in what we call the alpha state, which is the meditative state, because it is the subconscious mind that will be best able to comprehend and experience this. And in the alpha state, you're working out of the conscious and subconscious together, and because of that, your conscious mind will have a clear memory of what you have experienced. So if you would make yourself comfortable and close your eyes and focus for just 2 minutes on your breathing. If anything else comes in, gently brush it aside. Go back to focusing on your breath, and now count your breaths as you exhale. And with each breath as you let it go, feel your body relax. Feel your mind slow down. With each breath, you go deeper and deeper into a beautiful state of peace. With each breath, you become ever more relaxed. I now want you to see and feel around you a number of spirit beings, your angels, your guides, your teachers, higher aspects of yourself. And I'm asking them to now build a bubble of light around your conscious and subconscious mind, and to keep this bubble strong throughout this experience. I'm now asking your spirit family to form a circle around you and to maintain this through the entire experience. Within your bubble, surrounded by your spirit family, who are extremely wise, powerful beings who have so much love for you, you are safe. I'm now asking your spirit family to take your mind inside your bubble of light, inside their circle, and place it a fair distance outside of our universe, far enough out that you can see the entire universe. What do you see? What do you sense? What do you feel? It is breathtaking in scope and in its beauty. And a note that if you look closely, you can see not only the brilliant occasional lights of the supernovas, you can see the lights of the third, fourth, and even fifth dimensional galaxies, 1 billion or more of them. And now look even closer. Adjust your eyes. Can you see that there are galaxies not nearly as dense or bright. They look like they're kind of haze. And if you look even closer, you can see more of them and even less density to them. And what you're seeing is the various dimensions that exist in our universe. And now let's move into the universe. And let's move into one of these really faint, mystic galaxies and into a planet. And can you see the beings moving about? The density of their bodies is even lighter than an angel. And you know that there are many, many, many of these, billions of these, of varying densities. But then you also sense something else. No matter which density you were in, you were surrounded by a field of energy. And now, as you remember looking at the entire universe, almost in a very subtle way, the whole universe was filled with this bubbling, churning energy. And that energy is called the quantum field. And you remember reading somewhere that some of the astrophysicists and the quantum physicists are saying that the whole universe is a quantum field, that everything in the universe is made out of this energy. And the more the energy slows down, the lower its frequency becomes, the more dense the material it becomes. And so the various dimensions are created by energy at different frequencies. But all that exists is this energy, and out of it, everything in the universe comes from, is made of. And some of these quantum physicists are now saying this energy is consciousness. This energy is aware of itself, of its environment, of what's happening around it. And we have a number of scientists in different disciplines here on the earth who have found consciousness on the quantum level, which means smaller than an atom. They found it on the molecular level. They found it on the cellular level. And just this week I read that they have found it on the level of bacteria, that bacteria have consciousness. They communicate not only with each other, but with different species of bacteria, and that they cooperate. The whole universe is made up of consciousness and energy. And everything in the universe is made out of this conscious energy. Your physical body, even your mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies are made out of this conscious energy. You are in the field that we call the quantum field. You are a part of that field, and you influence the field. The field is aware of your thoughts and your emotions. We know this by some of the experiments done right here on the earth by our own scientists. They're aware of your thoughts and your emotions, and the quantum field acts like a mirror. whatever you send out via your thoughts and emotions, it automatically assumes that that is what you want, and so it sends that same thing back to you, oftentimes amplified. So what you send out is helping to create and shape the quantum field, because it's what it receives. That's what you're putting into it. And when you consider the countless beings of all dimensions that are constantly feeding thought, emotion, words, and action into this field, the field is always in the process of evolving. It's always changing. And if it sends back to us what we send out to it, the implication of that is phenomenal. It means if you send out the thoughts and emotions of what it is you want, that's what the quantum field is going to give you. If you're ill, for example, you do not want to focus on the illness, the quantum field will then intensify the illness. You want to send out the image, the feeling, the words that you are healthy, you are strong, you are vibrant. And that is what the quantum field will send back to you, which will push out the illness. It will transmute the illness. And anything that's important in your life that you want, see it already being. And do it repeatedly, because with repetition and with emotion, thought is greatly, greatly amplified. And if you recall, the Gospel of John, it begins, in the beginning was the Word. The Word is the thought, be it spoken or unspoken. And out of the Word came creation. And that is as true today as it has ever been, and it will always be that way. Out of our word, our thought, our emotions, comes our reality. So we are each the creator of our own reality, and as our reality interacts with those around us, we create a larger reality. And as you amplify this to a universal level, that's where reality comes from. You are in and a part of the quantum field. You are helping to shape it, and it is reflecting back to you that you hold in your heart and in your mind. Okay, that's some pretty heavy information. Kryon, who channels information and has for a dozen or more years, he identifies himself as an energy worker. He works with electromagnetic energy. And he has been telling us for the last decade that the universe is made up of conscious energy, and that there is no such thing as empty space, that even the space inside of an atom has this quantum energy in it. It is everywhere. There is no such thing as empty space. There is only this energy that manifests in an infinite variety of ways because of the infinite variety of thoughts, feelings, desires, wishes, and fears of the beings in the universe. Dr. Emoto, in his work in Japan, has demonstrated not only that the molecules of water are aware of us, of our thoughts, of our desires. He places labels on pure water and a vial of pure water, and love, peace, joy, fear, guilt, grief, etc., and quick freezes it. And then he'll slice off a really thin slice, only several atoms thick, and put it on a chilled plate on an electron microscope. And the ones that are labeled, have positive labels, they have freeze in beautiful, beautiful crystal forms. Each one is a different crystal. The love crystal is different than the peace is different from the joy. But those that are labeled with the negative emotions, there are no crystals. It's only chaotic, unorganized. So the only way the water could do that would be, it has to be aware of what was put on it, the label, the thought of Dr. Emoto or another person that put that label on, and it responds in kind. Our thoughts affect the molecular structure of water, and our thoughts affect everything that touches us in our life. So I can't stress this enough. Please, 24/7, at least when you're awake, be aware of the thoughts in your mind. We can only hold one thought at a time, and that's a blessing, but it's also a limitation. Be aware of that thought. Do not hold on to thoughts for things that you do not want, but do hold on to thoughts and add positive emotion for things that you do want in your life. As I say, we are the creators of our own reality. So that is the quantum field. It is a mirror. It is what makes up all of reality. And it is conscious of us, and it is important that we become conscious of it, because it very much influences us, because it mirrors back to us what we are thinking and feeling. And if we're aware of that, we can send out the thoughts, the images, the emotions for that we desire. And we can also send it out for other people. If you're involved in healing at all, see them being healed, vibrant, healthy, energetic. See them being happy, productive, loving people. So the quantum field is us, and we are it. We do not have a choice. That is a given to us. But the fact that we can shape the field, the fact that the field will give us what we are thinking about, gives us a tremendous opportunity. And Jesus is an example here. When he was doing healings with other people, he would see them being whole, healed. And whether it was physical illness or whether it was mental illness, he could even see them being emotionally, mentally healthy, and they were. And he could even talk to the elements. He could quiet the wind and still the waves. He could change the water into wine. He could multiply a little boy's lunch to feed 5,000 people. And he said, you can do that too, and even more. And the greatest thing of all is he could even call life. He could call the soul back into a body that had reached the point that it was odorous. It had begun to rot. And the soul coming back in could restore it to full life, a full health, virtually instantly. Our power is unlimited. We have to believe that we can do it, however, and that is the key here. You have to not only believe, but then you have to develop the discipline to hold on only to positive thoughts and feelings. Carrie Ellis, in her book, 21st Century Superhuman, she talks about the quantum field in a different way. She gives it a different name. She refers to it as the field of possibility, and indeed it is. For it is possible for it to deliver, to provide for us whatever we desire and are willing to have the discipline to focus our thoughts and emotions on. We need the mental and emotional discipline here. Can you see the potential here for yourself, for your life, and even for your loved ones? as you visualize things not only for them but with them. And because energy increases by the square, if you two of you visualizing for the same thing have the power of 4, 4 have the power of 16, 10 have the power of 100. As light workers gather together, they can literally change the world. And indeed, they are in fact doing that. So this is who you are, and this is why we are here. If you're listening to this broadcast, the chances are virtually 100% that you are a light worker. And we came here to change the world. We came here to change the collective human consciousness. You see, one of the insights, and you're free to accept, modify, or reject this, the whole universe is ready to take a step upward. If you're in a home, and most homes will have roughly 12 steps between floors, and the floors would represent the dimensions, and the 12 steps would represent the 12 different steps we need to go up to reach the next higher dimension. Well, the whole universe is ready to go up a step. And in order to do that, it's taking the concerted effort of a significant portion of all of the beings in the universe. Whatever dimension they're presently at, their dimension needs to go up a step. And the Earth, because of its history, has been acting like an anchor for our galaxy. And in order for our galaxy to make its step up, we on the Earth need to take a dimensional step, in fact, 2 dimensions. We need to go from the 3rd dimensional level of consciousness and materiality to the 5th dimensional level of consciousness and density. And this is a really, really tall order. And to help accomplish that, there are a number of highly evolved beings coming from the angelic realm, from the spirit realm, from higher dimensions of space, who have volunteered to lower their frequency and to come here and to be present physically on the Earth at this time to assist in grounding higher dimensional energies not only into the Earth, but grounding it into the collective human consciousness. And I read just last week the results of some sociological studies that have been ongoing. They found that in 2002, there were 1 billion of these descended beings, these beings that carry indigo and crystal energy, these beings that were here to help raise the Earth and the collective human consciousness. In 2012, they found that number had grown to 2 billion. It had doubled. And meanwhile, the lowest dimension of society, the traditionalists, the ones who not only don't want change, but would really like to roll it back to where it was, that group of people has shrunk as a percentage of the population. And this fits with my experience as 10 years as a mall Santa from 2002 to 2012. I found that the number of indigo and crystal children that I saw had increased over that 10-year period from roughly 15%, and in 2012 it was somewhere between 40 and 50% of the children. Now that doubling of these light workers, many of them are children. They're not in a position of influence or power yet. So they can't fully do what it is we need to do to transform our governments, our economies, our religions, our healthcare, our educational systems, etc. But more and more, light workers are awakening each day. We are becoming a larger percentage of the Earth's population daily. And as we join together in groups and organizations, as we join together in group meditations, whether we're physically together or whether it's like this over web radio or some other means, as we do that, we have tremendous power. 10 light workers have the power, can overpower 200 to 300 Earth beings who are still caught up in fear and negativity. We have that kind of power and influence, and if we keep ourselves positive, upbeat, if, as Carrie Ellis says, if we identify that within ourselves that is not of love, and if we clear ourselves from that and we replace it with that is of love, we're not only going to transform ourselves, we're going to help transform a whole planet. We're going to help a whole galaxy. We're going to literally be helping a whole universe. Because many of us have had many, many lifetimes on the planet, even those of us who are descended beings, we have veiled off the highest part of ourselves. Because to be in touch with it was extremely painful. It meant that we were so different from other people that we could not be understood by them, and probably we would have been burned at the stake. So we veiled it off. We became more like them. We accepted more of their limited, negative values, beliefs, behaviors. Well, it's time now to identify anything within yourself that is not of love. And it is time to transmute it. And you can transmute it with using the violet ray, which is a transmuting energy. And you will probably have to do that over and over again with any single trait that you have. But the more you do this, the more you are unveiling that most divine part of yourself. You're unveiling your soul. Your soul is a microcosm of the Creator. And the more you unveil it, the more powerful this soul becomes. And as you connect with your soul, allowing it to express through you, and as you connect with the many spirit beings working with you, and as you become the Holy Trinity, you are grounding the energy of your spirit family, you are amplifying and projecting the energy of your soul. And that is what we are here to do and to become.
Okay, Carl, there's a few questions that have come in. And also, I'd like to put out the invitation for individuals that are on the phone. If you have a question, please do a *2, and I will connect you with Carl after we get these other questions answered. And the first question that came in, Carl, is, of course, it's regarding the quantum field. And then the question is, if we focus on something in the quantum realm, does it become physical?
The answer is yes. All physical reality is created out of quantum energy. That quantum energy has slowed its vibration, and science has been telling us for 50 years now that all matter is made out of energy, and it is that quantum energy that has slowed itself down to take on molecular structure. Okay? So yes, now to bring it into physical reality, you have to have a strong belief that it can be done and that it can be done through you, all right? And you will need to do it repeatedly. And the strongest language to use in doing this is visualization. And then you feed a lot of positive emotion to that visualization, and then you give the verbal instructions, okay? And that's how you will bring, slow this energy, this quantum energy down to take on physical form. Now, if you're going to bring it into physical form, it's not going to magically happen, most likely. I don't know of anyone that can function at that level yet. But it's going to take work on your part. You're going to have to put forth physical labor or monetary money to bring it into being. But what will happen is doors will be opened that allow you to access it. All right? I hope that helps.
Carl, I think you can give an example of that time years ago that you brought into manifestation the tractor that you were looking for.
Back in 1976, Ortrud and I got married, and we bought a big old farmhouse that had a very long tear-shaped driveway, and it had a lot of lawn, and we needed a tractor to move snow and to mow grass. And being newlyweds, between us we had 5 children, so money was definitely an issue. So I meditated probably several times a week for about 3 weeks, and I visualized this tractor sitting in our shed. And one day, for some odd reason, I drove a different way to work, and I went by a dealership that sold lawn equipment. And as I drove by, they were just opened, and they were pushing this tractor out of their front door to be displayed in front of their building. And oh my gosh, that was my tractor. So I pulled in there and I bought it, and it had the plow, and it had the mowing unit, and it was the exact dollar amount that I said I could afford to pay.
And Carl has manifested that way many, many things, especially cars, because he loves cars. And he's had 99, and I say 99 and a half cars, because he always brings them into manifestation. But that's the example of how it is that you can manifest, and it's not that we're not at the point yet where we can just, it's there instantaneously, but it is getting quicker and quicker all the time with the way that the energy vibrations have been uplifted for those things to happen more quickly. But to put out those thoughts and continue to focus on that occurring, and then this is what happens for you. It comes to you. The doors are open, like Carl said. With that tractor incident, he happened to get up in the morning. He had just, we'd gotten up in the morning. He said, I'm going to go drive by that place today. So there was something that was given to him in his sleep state. So this is a way that you can receive this also. And then he went there, and there it was. So, yes, so that's just a thought of how it is that you can manifest. Now, one of the other questions here, Carl, is the quantum field the same as a morphogenetic field? Is there more than one quantum field?
I'm not familiar with a morphogenic field. There is only one quantum field, and it is, as I say, everything in the universe is made out of that. Now, there are other, I want to say, fields of energy, subfields, if you will. There are fields of consciousness, for example, and there are fields of energy within the organs within our body, but they are all made up of this quantum energy. Or I really, really prefer Carrie Ellis's phrase, the field of possibilities, because in that field, literally anything that exists in the universe is possible.
Okay, here's a question regarding the crystal children, Carl. And it says, are the crystal children operating at alpha level most of the time? And then there's a continuation of that question. Is that part of being in the 5th dimension?
I haven't really checked children to see what percentage of their awake time they're functioning in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimension. But the fact that many of them, especially those that have a lot of crystal energy, 70, 80% crystal, can see into the spirit realm. They see angels. They see beings around them. They also know what people are thinking. It would say to me that they are functioning at a higher frequency, a higher level. Are they functioning in the fifth dimension? I suspect that they are. Okay. Now, I want another thing I want to share with you here that this brings up. In the life script readings that I do, I've asked about 3,000 people, and we've dowsed this. What percentage of their awake time are they functioning in the third, fourth, and fifth dimension? And it was that people were, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, people were functioning, if they were functioning in double digits in the fifth dimension, that was high. And now the fifth dimension, on average, the light workers in the last year are functioning 35 to 45% in the fifth dimension. And they're only functioning on average of 12 to maybe 16% in the third dimension. The rest of the time they're in the fourth dimension, and the fourth dimension is, I'm going to call it the dimension of chaos, because it is a dimension of very, very rapid change. Okay? And because the Earth has already ascended, and it is at the low end of the fifth dimension, its frequency has increased from 7.8 hertz to now it's just over 22 hertz, and the fifth dimension begins at 21 hertz. And so those people, the indigo and the crystal children who are functioning more in the light workers in the fifth dimension are assisting the Earth, but the Earth, they're also staying more in harmony with the Earth. And those people that are not increasing in their consciousness, who are not activating more codons in their DNA, life is becoming more challenging because they've lost their harmony with the physical Earth on which they live, and their bodies are made out of the quantum energy of the physical Earth.
Okay, and there are a few people that have joined us. So again, I want to just mention those of you on the phone that if you would like to ask a question, please just press star 2, and that will raise your hand, and I can link you in with Carl. I just want to take a moment here, speaking about the dowsing and so on that Carl was mentioning. That's also something that he includes in his life script readings, which is one of the main service that he really loves to do. He does many things, but that's his favorite, and where he finds out what the amount of time you spend in the third, fourth, and fifth dimension, and many other things. You want to tell them about that, Carl?
Yeah, we checked to see what form you were in before you took on human form. All light workers, in my experience, are descended beings. That is, they've come from someplace else. About 30% have come from the angelic realm. About 30% have come from higher dimensions of space. About 30% have come from the spirit realm. And 10% are really, really challenging and interesting because they've come from all over God's creation. It's fascinating. We also check to see how much crystal and indigo energy you have, and again, all light workers, in my experience, have crystal and or indigo energy. And then we also check to see who's working with you. The average light worker will have between 25 and 30 spirit beings overlighting them. And many of these will be angels, some are guides, some are teachers, and some really important ones are higher aspects of themselves. Okay? And then in a life script reading, we will go into the temple that contains the Akashic record, and we will look at what it is that you had said you wanted to accomplish in this lifetime in terms of your personal growth and in terms of the service you wanted to give. And we concluded with a very empowering initiatory process.
Okay, here's a question. Actually, it's quite long. But this is what they're saying here is, what about victimization feelings? It seems like working through old patterns and chaos of change leaves one feeling victimized, and this keeps us from moving forward or expanding. How do we shift without feeling victimized by the density of collective pain body struggles and mental anguish? Thank you.
You can only be victimized by what you are focusing on. Now, yes, you can be physically victimized, and to avoid that, please, 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 daily, and Ortrin and I do this every day. In fact, we do it several times a day because of the work we do. We ask our spirit family to keep us, our home, our vehicle in protective bubbles of light, and because what energy does a victim put out before they're victimized? Okay? And if you keep yourself positive, if you keep yourself only acting, thinking, speaking out of love, the chances of your being victimized are almost zero. If you feel like you are a victim, or you feel like you are going to be a victim, that shows lack of self-confidence, lack of power, and if that's what you're focusing on, you're helping to create it. So please, please, please do not focus on that is negative, hurtful, that is anything less than love. Keep yourself in a bubble of light, and we ask our spirit families to keep our bubble of light and us filled with their beautiful, loving, joyful, peaceful energy. And also, I ask my soul to keep me filled with its golden light and to keep me within an aura of its golden light. And we are in that state. There's no way that we're going to attract that is not for our highest good. And please, when you ask for anything for yourself or others, ask always that it be for the highest good of all that it's going to impact.
I just want to add that the feelings of victimization, one of the key things is that you become aware, and Carl mentioned this earlier, are the thoughts that you have in your mind. And I remember back years and years ago, actually very shortly after Carl and I were married, and I was working in a place, and it was extremely negative for me, and I actually was coming home crying. And I said, I'm going to either change that place or I'm going to have to leave. And what I started doing is I started blitzing that place with divine, radiant light and love as I went to sleep at night, as I woke up in the morning, as I was driving into the place, I would see that place filled with divine, radiant light and love, and everyone that I would come in contact with, I would see that for them also. And then when I was at work, one of the things I also did, which I think is extremely important, is for us to all learn, is to recognize which thoughts are ours. Because what I realized is I was sitting there doing my work, all of a sudden, some negative thought would come into my mind. And why is that floating through? And that's what it was. It's floating through. We are these beings where energy vibrations can flow right through us, and what we do is we pick them up, and then we make them ours. And that's why it's so important to keep yourself surrounded with this divine, radiant light and love, where only light and love can dwell, where only light and love can penetrate. And if you notice yourself having a negative thought, give yourself a trigger word. And I did give myself the trigger word of love. And every time I caught myself having a negative thought or in my mind, I would say love, and I have a mantra of that, to say that over and over until it was gone. See, what you want to do is you want to push that thought that isn't you out of your mind, because truly, when it comes right down to it, you are a divine being of Christed light. And if you focus on that and continue to focus on that, you get beyond that point of being victimized. You don't have to go through every problem you've ever had to release it.
I want to share another story along that line. A number of years ago, we were audited by IRS, and they concluded that we owed them $60,000. Obviously, we did not have that kind of money at all. And for a little while, a short period of time, we were anxious, we were fearful. We had a victim's mentality. And then we came to a conclusion. But we said, no, what is going to happen here is we want the IRS and us to be treated fairly. And both Ortrin and I meditated on that, and we meditated on it, on a fairly regular basis. And less than a week before it was to go to trial, we got a letter from IRS saying, sorry, we made a mistake. We find that we owe you $20,000. That's the quantum field at work. Okay? I don't think any of us realize how powerful we are as creators. And if we get in touch with that power, we get in touch with our divine essence, we get in touch with our spirit family, and as that divine Trinity, we are extraordinarily powerful and can create virtually or attract to ourselves or attract into our life virtually anything that we want. But again, qualify it if it's for the highest good of all involved. Are there any other questions there?
There's only a comment, and it's thank you for this wonderful topic and sharing your experiences. Very helpful insights throughout the conversation. So are there any other questions at all? I'd love to have someone call in and speak with Carl if they would like. And again, it's a *2. And again, I just want to mention a few things and bring them up here while we're waiting for that, and have Carl give his thoughts on this. As he was sharing these different thoughts on the quantum field, there are things that came to my mind. And we gave many, many examples, our own experiences, but like Bruce Lipton, he talks about the quantum field, right, on a cellular level, and the cooperations that the cells have between each other. Could you say a little more about that?
Well, not only in the cellular level, but the research on bacteria that was reported in the last issue, the current issue of Discover magazine, there is communication that goes on throughout all of creation. There is an at-one-ment in the whole universe is, I'm going to say, one gigantic field of consciousness and energy. That's what it's made up of. And everything that happens in this field literally impacts everything else in this field. So, and as we come together collectively, we have our level of influence, our power increases by the square. And there's something else that I want to share with you here. And that is the change that, I've already talked about it, the change that is taking place in our society, and this is throughout the world, that the ones that want to stop the train I want to get off, they're diminishing as a percentage of the population. And the ones that we would classify as light workers are growing at an unprecedented rate of speed. And the fact that the frequency of the Earth is increasing at an unprecedented rate of speed. And what this has brought about is just literally a chaotic world. And the Earth herself is adjusting so rapidly that the increase in earthquakes and volcanoes, the erratic weather, the weather changes that are taking place, whether it's even if that isn't caused by our human behavior. It is tremendous. We are in a transitory period, and it is my feeling that the transition really began with a harmonic convergence in 1987, and it is then that we begin to experience the first amount of photon energy. That is what science calls it. The astrologers call it the Aquarian Age. And in 2012, December 21st, marked the halfway point of leaving the Piscean Age and moving into the Aquarian Age. From 2012 on, we're more than half of Aquarian energy. And this transitional period will continue until 2037. It's roughly a 50-year period of time. And we are impacted by that, but we are also helping to create it. And as we work on ourselves to keep our vibration, our frequency up with the frequency of the earth, we're going to go through it much more smoothly than those people who are not working on keeping their frequency up because of the discord and disharmony with the planet itself. It's going to be a lot rougher for them. So this is just some incentive to work on yourself. And again, the key here is if it's not of love, get rid of it. And all that you hold in your heart and mind, let it come out of and reflect love. That's the simple key here. And as Ortrin said, it was her mantra, her key word was love, and immediately that moved her to a higher level of consciousness. And to identify behavior patterns that are negative, reaction patterns that are negative, and to change those. And the only person in the world you can change is yourself. And if you want to change the world, the only way you can do it is to change yourself. So it's all about our personal growth.
One of the things, the services that I happen to offer is chakra balancing. So if you're at a point where you feel that you really need some help moving some energies, this is something that I can be of assistance with, and it's been extremely, extremely helpful for individuals. And with that, you don't need to know what's stuck in the different chakras, because what it is, it gets pulled out. We work with your masters, with your guides, and remove those different blockages. And one of the things that Carl and I both have found is so many individuals, and especially people that are choosing to be on the ascension path, that their chakra centers are open from the crown chakra on down to the heart, but then from the solar plexus down, they're not. And so if those aren't open, then the materialization, the creating of and manifesting of the things that you desire becomes extremely hard. So by opening and eliminating and placing energies that are of a positive nature into those particular parts of your body, it is then that the energies will flow easily through your whole entire chakra system, bringing the energies of divine light and love from all of creation into you, and then manifesting it here on the earth. So creation becomes much more easy for you. So this is a service that's offered here also at ourspiritualascension.com. And it can be done by telephone or it can be done by person. Now we have 5 minutes left.
Okay, 5 minutes left. Is there time for one more question?
Yes, here's one. Okay. Oh, well. Oh, thank you. It's again, someone's asking you how do you contact us for a reading. Our website is ourspiritualascension.com. I'll put that on. If you're on on the computer, I will put that up on a slide so that you can write that down. Just 1 second here. And here's Carl back.
Yeah, both Ortrin and I were aware that we are here to help awaken, but also to empower the light workers. And we've been doing this work now for, well, about, together 37 years, but we were doing that before we even got together. So it's been about 40 years. And what a change that has taken place in the people that we work with, the growth that they have accomplished and achieved. It's heartwarming. And also the growth that we sense within ourselves and that we see in each other. And we are so blessed in that we're working together as a team, as a couple. And there aren't many light workers that have that opportunity, and we just feel so blessed. Something else that we do here, once a month we have a mystery school that meets here in our home. And it was last Thursday, and if you're in the Grand Rapids area, again, contact us through the website because we have limited enrollment because of limited space. But the energy that is generated here is the highest I have ever felt. And it is so powerful that it literally, it spans and envelops the entire planet. And to be able to have the privilege of being a part of that it's wonderful. And please seek out groups and seek out other people that you can relate to, that are working at about the level that you're at. Another comment about a light worker, some things they have in common. They feel that most of the people in their life do not understand them, and they're correct about that. They feel very much alone, and that's why it's so important to find other people and groups of people that think and feel like you do.
And here's a question, Carl. What is a Coptic minister?
A Coptic minister, the Coptic Church is the oldest Christian church in the world, founded by St. Mark in Egypt in 59 A.D. In the Coptic Church, as in virtually all religions, there are the inner and outer teachings. The Coptic Center here in Grand Rapids, which is where it's headquartered, deals with the inner teachings that come from the esoteric mystery schools affiliated with the Coptic Christian Church.
Well, the center here teaches balance of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. And we are associated with them, but we also have our own things here that we do that specifically deal with the inner teachings, the going within, recognition of the divine essence that you are. And that's so much of that is through meditation, and that's done at our home. And also I want to mention that on Star Nations Radio Network, starnationsradio.com, Carl and I, we are on every third Thursday of the month. We are on that network, and my part of it at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the Mystery School, where we bring these kind of teachings in. And then Carl, his is on the spiritual realm and also ascension. Also want to mention again that I'm on every second Monday of the month here at WIN and Egyptian Initiatory Temples, which is one way of being able to start connecting to that divine inner essence. It's a way. It is a spoke in the wheel. And, of course, Carl's on here every third Monday of the month. We've only got a minute left, and I also just want to mention to you that the other WIN partners are wonderful individuals, so please check them out because they have so much to offer, and most of them have been in this type of discipline, different than ours, for over 20 years at least, and so they're well-versed in their field, so please tune into them. Also, check them out, and it is time for us now to wind down. Our time's over. Just want to mention that those of you that came in late, because many of you did, you can go to either World Class Win, that's the Win Network. They have the replay for 28 days, but on our site, OurSpiritualAscension.com, we will also have the replay, and it's there for longer than 28 days. So if you missed part of this program and want to listen to parts of it, please go to our site. And we want to thank you all for being with us this evening.
Yes, thank you for adding your energy to this. Even if you did not participate actively, still your energy has impacted everyone who has tuned in. So thank you. God bless. Have a wonderful month.